of doing business? What does that mean to your pocket as well? And that is why we're having this conversation with you on fuel prices hike and reactions from Mwananchi. We've heard what the political class has said. We've heard what professionals have said. We've heard what EPRA has said. But at the end of the day, where rubber meets the road, it is you who is going out there to fuel your car. It is you who's on that matatu going about your business. It is you, the farmer, who's transporting goods from your shamba to the market. And as we speak, everything has gone up. That means today, as we speak, pesa mfukoni remains a mystery. Because pesa inatolewa wapi? Mfukoni. We know that President William Ruto gave a directive that VAT be reduced from 16 all the way to it was 16, then it went to 13, then now we are at 8%, you know. But what changes does that do to your pocket? What does that change mean to you? Is there any change? To start with, these are conversations we are having with you. The number for you to call this morning is 0732142653, or you call 0732142650. The numbers to call 0732142653, 0732142650. An opportunity for you to talk with us and tell us exactly what the new fuel prices mean to you, and if at all it is making sense, and also have an opportunity to speak to the powers that be on what must be done. Again, remember the number to call 0732142653, 0732142650. Gentlemen, phone calls are coming in real fast, yeah? So let's just have a conversation around that real quick before we start collecting these. Do you think, Ian, that where we stand right now, that these, with the changes we see, it will have any difference in terms of cost, Mwananchi having more in their pocket?
Well, I don't think even with the latest review that happened yesterday, much is going to change. And for me, I feel for parents because, first of all, we are just a couple of weeks away from schools reopening, and they have to, get new stuff for, materials that, they have to get their children to go back to school. So at the end of the day, in as much as EPRA reviewed, for example, the price or the cost of diesel per litre yesterday by 10 shillings, the additional 30 on top is still, quite high. So to me, I don't think it's going to change much. I think just like Mr. Obath did allude to, we need to find other ways to get revenue, because the more we rely on this issue of revenue arising from fuel through the taxation, then it means we cannot really be able to bring down the cost of fuel when things get tough.
Yeah.
Because if, for example, this war escalates, and we've seen the Fujairah Aramco saying that the fuel that will get from May to August, the consignment that will come at that time, will be even higher. So if it gets to that point, then it means we are going back to even before the review was made again yesterday. It means it could go even higher. So we need proper interventions. We need long-term solutions. We need not to look at short-term or medium-term interventions. Beg your pardon. So I think the government needs to come up with a proper plan to cushion Kenyans properly, because at the end of the day, again, the issue of this subsidy is not something that we can sustain, because it cannot sustain us in the long run. So the government has a lot to do. We need to be honest about it. We need to be serious about it. We need not to politic about it, because this is an issue that affects millions of Kenyans and directly each and every household, if I'm not wrong. So if the government really cares and the president really cares about the people in the lowest kind of life, like he alluded to during the campaign, then he needs to address this issue now. Let us not politicize this issue. Yes.
Osido.
Precisely. And just to pick it up from there, Dennis, is to indicate that there are going to be macro sectors that are going to be affected, as we already have been told. So at that bigger level, there are ramifications. You talk about energy, transport. So it might be that, we look at it from that very higher level where we count the number of lorries, buses, etc. But ultimately, these are ferrying goods that are consumed or used at the local very micro level. So already we have indications that, for example, local transport has gone up by 50 shillings, depending on the routes that you are taking. Of course, the cost of food is going to go up if agriculture, is affected, which means that as we transport our milk down there, the person who is milking it, packaging it and moving it from one level to another is going to levy a cost, and that cost has to be borne by someone. That someone is actually the common citizen. You look at what we call manufacturing, and of course there are big conversations that have been happening around how to diversify the manufacturing sector. And you relate this to, just employment opportunities for young people. So if already we cannot be able to, uptake the number of young people who are unemployed because the manufacturing sector has failed to pick up.
Yeah.
Now, can you compound or juxtapose that with now the other challenges that are related to just what we've been talking about here, the cost of fuel? It therefore means that families will have to suffer double or even triple. You take care of your younger brother who is unemployed, and then if you are, supporting with, say, 2 bags of flour per week, you have to probably double it, because you're going to buy it at almost a higher price, because the source from where it's coming from, from the farm, the tractors are going to be fueled, using higher amounts of diesel, as Patrick told us here, which means that as we do the value chain, where consumption takes place, we have to we have to bear, the cost of those additions. So it therefore goes back to, again, government to begin to think through how to make this easy for citizens. How they are going to do it, I do not know, but it's a conversation that really has to be done. I've been seeing the government spokesman, Mheshimiwa Isaac Mwaura, talking about many things, but unfortunately I have not seen him talking about what is affecting us right now. The cost of living against, the cost of energy, fuel, oil, etc., because there are going to be major ramifications. But hence the reason I asked Patrick, so what do we do as citizens?
Yeah.
And really that is where the rubber meets the road. The kind of leaders that we have. He alluded that there are very good policies, good proposals that have been put in place, but they can't be picked up because of lack of goodwill. There is no political goodwill.
Yeah.
Dennis will say, let's put, massive trucks, buses on the road, railways, what in other places they call mass transit system. But go to Thika Road. We even have areas that were allocated, the
BRT.
Yes, exactly. Many years down the line, why aren't those things working to show? So, citizens, sisi kama wananchi, tuko na sehemu ya kushikilia. Na hapo ni vote yetu.
And that's why you also have an opportunity to speak directly to the powers that be. Share your opinion, and the number for you to call is 0732 142 Good morning. How are you? Where are you calling us from? And what is the situation that you see this morning? What is your say? Good morning. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Please proceed. Where are you calling us from? And what's your position on the fuel prices that we see in the country today?
Yeah, I'm calling you from Narok.
Yes.
Transmara.
Yes, please proceed.
Yeah, the fuel crisis in Kenya is not something new. And we should blame ourselves as Kenyans, the common mwananchi. Because if we blame the president did not place himself as the president. We chose him. We elected him. We elect leaders who have no political goodwill. They just go there. Everybody just saying, if I am in this position, what good will I get here? This culture of it is my time to eat is what is affecting our nation. And let me also say that corruption is everywhere, including even what the president said yesterday that, let us reduce the fuel, let us give the subsidy 6 billion. There is somebody who is looking at that 6 billion as a way of making money. So Kenya, we have a culture that I don't know who bewitched us, because all of us is as if we were born by one person. Remember, there's a time I was in one of the matatus, and I saw a scout giving out 50 shillings to a policeman. I asked him, surely, what is the problem? Why can't you pass and go? If the vehicle has a problem, go to court, correct your mistake, continue driving. But the idea of giving something small everywhere, let me tell you, let schools, hospitals, everywhere. Like the Bible says, ni wapi ambapo dhambi haisafanyika. Kenya, it is rotten everywhere from the top to the bottom. Or else, actually, siwause Kenya kila mtu apate sehemu yake, ikufe hivyo ishe. Because Kenya is terrible. What is happening, Mr. Dennis, even where I am, what is happening? We don't have that good will. I even feel sorry to be a Kenyan. Let's pray God. Maybe something somewhere will happen good. I don't know who will come, because everywhere kila mtu anataka tu kutafuta, hapa nitapata nini kule, hapa nitapata. Angalia popote, niambie ni wapi ambapo dhambi haijafanyika Kenya hii, kanisani, wapi? Kila mtu anaangalia pesa ya kukula, sio pesa ya kusafu mwananchi. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And those are the raw feelings of Kenyans out there with what is happening in the country. You know, and also I'll just go through the socials real quick. We have I am Muni says, in a nutshell, government imports fuel, government actions fuel at fixed rated to internal oil marketers to retail to consumers. Good morning. How are you? Where are you listening from? And what is your position on the same? That call seems to have dropped. We shall be waiting for others to call in. And my prince says in Ethiopia, oil is not taxed, as well as Geoffrey Nicholas says, how will you grow your economy industries while imposing all these taxes in fuel? Yet all those taxes are pocketed by one individual. And my prince again says our taxes go to finance political class lifestyles, and progressive economies know how to develop and enhance the imperatives of the consumers, not just marketers. That is according to I am Muniu and Job Mario. Kenya government went for this G2G thing to reduce immediate demand for foreign currency. One asks the question, with all these things happening, right? With all these fuel prices that we see hitting the roof in a historical scenario pretty much, what does that mean for Mwananchi? Yesterday, many were saying, nimeongezewa fare by 50 bob. You know, if it's a place where you used to do 100, you're not paying 150. That is half the fare you would have used going back home. So that means someone is spending twice the amount in a single day, because that would be spending 300 bob, you know, to work and fro. What are you saying? 0732-142-653 or 0732-142-650.
And you see, Dennis, the easiest way you feel it is in something like transport fare.
Yeah.
Because imagine now taking 50 shillings is a double cost.
It's a double cost.
We have a call?
Yeah, let's pick this call. Good morning. How are you? Where are you? Where are you calling us from? And what's your position on this subject? Yeah, that call as well has dropped. You're saying?
Yes, I was saying that is just in one area.
I have to catch you. Good morning. How are you? Where are you calling us from? And what's your position on the fuel prices that we see in the country today? Good morning. Hello. We seem to be having a problem there. Good morning. How are you? Where are you calling us from? And what's your position on the ongoing fuel crisis that the country finds itself in?
How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
Fine, sir.
Hello? Can
Hello,
you hear us?
speaking.
Yes, please. Proceed, and please lower the volume on your radio so that we can understand each other.
ADS.
All right. Yes, please proceed. Yeah. Hello, good morning. How are you? Where are you calling us from? And what's your position on the ongoing fuel situation the country finds itself in? Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Where are you? What's your position on the situation on the fuel prices in the country this morning? Yes, please proceed. Hello, yes, I can hear you. Please proceed. Lower volume on your radio so that you can understand each other, please.
Simi Remsen.
Yes, Simi, you please proceed.
So I'm saying that that the problem of fuel.
Yes, Simi. Hello, good morning. How are you? Where are you calling us from? And please lower the volume on your radio so that we are able to understand each other. But kindly proceed and give us your position on the ongoing fuel situation in the country.
Thank you so much. My name is Vincent. I'm calling from Kwale County.
Yes, Vincent.
Hello? Yeah, it's a very, very sad situation to our country. Right now, the students have just... They are next week, next week, but one, they'll be opening schools. And remember, a majority of learners, they'll be using the public transport. And as for the news we saw yesterday, they have doubled, actually they have hiked the prices, meaning that the biggest burden will be sent back to the parents. I saw the president yesterday saying that they have lowered the tax, the fuel tax, from 16% to 8%. But actually, contrary to the opinion, we are still seeing prices going very high. It has not actually reduced. And what actually provoked me so much is when I saw our counterparts, the Tanzanian and Uganda, the fuel cost is lower, while in our country, the ones who are claiming that those countries receive fuel from our country, actually ours is very high. What does this mean? As a common mwananchi, the purchasing power of the common mwananchi is going down. And because of that, the economy cannot grow. So we have people who are lying that the economy is growing, and yet the purchasing power of the common mwananchi who is doing work has been lowered. So people cannot purchase items. Instead, they will start now reducing. Even others will reduce, even the feeding style. Somebody who was eating 3 meals will have to reduce to 2, even 1, and that one is going to affect us so much. So my plea to the government is to actually check on this, because this is going to cause a great impact to our economy and our people at large. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Vincent, calling us from Kwale. Let's pick others and hear them out. Good morning. How are you? Where are you calling us from? And what's your position on the ongoing situation of the fuel prices in the country?
Yeah, thank you very much, Vincent.
Yes, hello? Kindly please lower the volume on your radio so that we are able to understand each other. Kindly proceed as well to give us your position on the ongoing fuel prices in the country. Yeah, we seem to be having a problem. Kindly, when you're calling in, make sure that the volume on your television or on your radio is lowered so that you're able to understand each other and continue with the conversation. Hello, good morning. How are you and where are you calling us from?
Hello?
Good morning. How are you?
Yes, I'm speaking English only.
Yes, you can speak in any language. Speak even in Swahili, sir. Proceed.
Okay, yes. I'm calling from Bungoma.
Yes, sir. All right. Please proceed. What's your position on the fuel prices in the country? All right. We seem to be having a problem. But good morning. How are you? Where are you calling us from? And what's your position on the ongoing situation on fuel prices?
Jumbo.
Jumbo.
Yes, I'm calling from Eldoret.
Yes, sir.
I could have liked to contribute to this thing that we're calling fuel factor.
Yes, please tell us your name and proceed and tell us.
Yes, my name is James.
Yes, James.
Yes, first and foremost, what contribute any petroleum product to rise worldwide? there are two factors that contributed, but you have made a lot of discussion, but I haven't heard you mentioning about it.
All right.
One is the dollar, and the two is unavailability of the product. In this case, I don't think we are having a problem with the dollar, but now we are having a problem with the unavailability of the product, that is the petroleum product. So, as Kenyans, we need to realize that there is a problem in the Middle East. And the biggest consumers of this product is the two big economies, that is India and China. So whatever we are getting is just a drop. So whatever we get as a drop, the price will change instantly, despite the fact that I understand people say we have G2G. Even if we have G2G. Hello?
Hello, yes, I can hear you. Please proceed.
Yes, even if we have G2G, I think the two governments, that is UAE and Saudi Arabia, they will take care of their biggest customer, that is India and China.
Yes.
So, as much as we complain that fuel price has gone up, no, we need to realize where are we in the chain of being considered when there is a problem with this commodity that we call a petroleum product. Then from there, we come back now to our ground, that is home. Yes, we have a problem that we foresee so many years ago, but we did not solve. If we could have managed to make this pipeline from Sudan through the port of Lamu, now Kenya could have become the biggest exit point of Sudan oil, and then it could have get a cheaper oil. Are you getting from that point?
Yes, I get you, sir. Let us hear from...
The long-term problem of this fuel, we don't have to blame about tax, about whatever. We need to have a strategic way of getting this fuel from Sudan to exit through the port of Lamu. And then the biggest investors, they will have the biggest refineries there. And then Kenyans will have to get the cheapest oil. These other things, Ululubale, that we are talking, we cannot solve anything. Even if that fuel is available now in the Middle East, they will have to take care of their biggest consumer, that is China and India. We other one that we consume just 1, 2, or 3 tankers of fuel in 2 weeks, they will not take care of us. We as Kenyans, we need to understand that. We don't have to cry from Monday to Monday that the fuel has gone up.
All right.
We need to have an alternative way of getting that commodity.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do. Thank you.
Asante sana. Let's hear from other Kenyans as well. Good morning. How are you? Where are you calling us from? And what's your position on the ongoing fuel prices in the country?
Thank you, sir. I'm calling from Kakamega.
Yes, sir.
I have this concern.
All right.
It is true we have the problem of fuel transportation from the Middle East because of what is happening in the Strait of Hormuz or something like that.
Yes.
But my question is, why is it that Kenyan prices are higher than our neighbors? I want that one to be answered.
Yes.
Why is it that Uganda and Tanzanians' prices are lower than ours, and we have the highest, and yet most of Uganda's oil passes through Kenya?
That's true.
I would like to be answered exactly about that. Look at a country like Burundi and Rwanda. Still, their prices are lower. Huh?
Yes, sir.
What is happening in Kenya? Is it to do with the imposed taxes or what is it?
Yeah, based off what has been gathered so far is that situation is because of the tax regime that is employed on petroleum products, and that's why you find that fuel in the country is expensive as compared to those of our neighbors, despite the fact that the fuel does go through the country.
But my question is, does it mean that the other countries do not impose taxes? Because if they also import fuel from the same destination like us,
yes,
why are they not also imposing taxes so that we are on equal terms?
Yes, we hear you. Those are concerns that we've noted down. We shall forward them to the EPRA and the ministry.
Members of Parliament of Kenya are the greatest letdown for Kenyans. Thank you.
Asante sana, tunashukuru as well. Yeah, that's the position Kenyans are having. Good morning. How are you? Where are you calling us from? And what's your position on the ongoing fuel crisis that the country finds itself in?
Morning. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. My name is Eunice from Kitale.
Yes, Eunice. What's your position?
Ningependa tu kuuliza.
Uliza.
The government achieve whatever it wanted, because how can prices of the oil be increased at midnight, and exactly the next day at midnight the prices has fallen? Did they achieve whatever they wanted? Can you imagine how many people are accessing to the pump? How many liters of fuel were bought? Na unajua kwamba kulikuwa na fear ya kwamba kuna shortage ya mafuta. So you can imagine how much the government collected, ambayo wanaona kwamba wawave na 10 shillings. Hata hiyo si kupunguza. The government increased the prices by 40. Now wana reduce by 10. Increasing in less than 24 hours, is that increasing? And reducing the price by 10 shillings, is that reducing? This government is playing with our minds, and we are just seeing them. Tunawaona kabisa, tumewamulika. Let them continue, and God in heaven is watching. Sijui ni kwa nini wanatesa wananchi. I'm very sad with this government, and I'll continue saying it.
Asante sana, tunashukuru, wamekusikia. Let's listen to other Kenyans as well. Good morning, how are you? Where are you calling us from? And what's your position on the ongoing fuel prices that the country finds itself in? And also, please lower the volume on your radio so that you're able to understand each other.
Hello?
Hello, yes, I can hear you. Please proceed, and also lower the volume on your television or radio so that we can understand each other.
Okay, thank you. My name is Eric Nyongesa, calling from Kitale.
Yes, Eric, please proceed.
My argument is, I just want to advise the government. We knew very well that we're going to have a shortage of oil. Normally, when oil is flowing in the natural way without any conflict in the Middle East, why can't we have reservoirs? So that during that time, we stock enough fuel that even can take us for a whole month. The government waits. When the fuel prices have now gone up in the Middle East, they rise it. The other day, I bought oil at 178 shillings per liter. Yesterday in the morning, I'm buying it at 206 in Eldoret when I was taking my mother-in-law in hospital. Why can they have a reservoir so that we collect oil, store it, then later we can do it? We can leave it to the market. We use it when the prices have been hiked. I think the government has not prioritized that. It's not good. Like a farmer is sometimes good when the rains are there, you harvest water, you store it. So that during the dry seasons, you use that water as you wait for the coming of the rain. Fuel can be done the same. Thank you.
Asante sana, right there, as we continue to speak to Kenyans on the ongoing situation. Remember, the number for you to call is 0732142653, 0732142650. Good morning, how are you? Where are you calling us from? And what's your position with the ongoing situation, especially on fuel prices? Good morning, how are you? Where are you calling us from? And what's your position on the ongoing fuel prices in the country? What's your say? Hello, good morning. If you can hear us, what's your position on the fuel prices in the country?
Hello.
Yes, please proceed.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
This is Stephen Otolo.
Yes, Stephen, please be a little bit louder so that I can hear you.
Oh, I'm Stephen Otolo.
Yes, Stephen.
I'm calling from Kisumu.
Yes.
So, my worry is that we know very well that we have oil in Kenya, in areas like Turkana. Now, why don't we have a strategy that this our oil can be used as a reserve, apart from this one that they import from the outside countries, that they call the G2G. So that's the only question I have.
Yeah, Asante sana, we've heard you. Let's listen to others as well. Good morning, how are you? Where are you calling us from? And what's your say with regard to the ongoing fuel prices in the country?
Well, my name is Jenga Ragua. I'm calling from Ngong.
Yes, Jenga.
And one of the things that, first of all, I want to say is that almost for the first time since 1996, I am leaving my car at home.
Tell us why.
And one of the things, because of the fuel prices, and having to use matatu.
Yes.
And then the first caller said that we are all to blame because we voted for the president. I didn't, so I don't feel responsible for him being there. And my friend, of course, Obat, was very, very, very insightful. I watched him. And the only thing I wanted to mention is that if the president probably was an economist, then he would know that the pressure of prices is always up, not down. And therefore, even when he reduces the prices of Nini by 10 shillings, there is no matatu man who is going to reduce his fare because of that 10 shillings. So in the final analysis, I don't know whether that is really helping. And the other thing is that I wish I could support. I wish I could trust my government, but I cannot trust my government. Why? Because of the corruption levels. So in my view, I think first of all the government has a big trust deficit, and we need to get to know that whatever they are doing is for the good of the country. Thank you.
Asante sana for your sentiment as well. We continue to listen to other Kenyans and what they have to say on the same. And gentlemen, these are Kenyans who are speaking, expressing themselves on the same. The lady from Kitale saying she's very sad and she'll continue raising the same. Good morning. How are you? Where are you calling us from? And what's your position? What's your say on the fuel prices in the country?
Hello, I'm Onyango from Siaya.
Yes, Onyango.
I find it very difficult to believe Opio and Ruto.
Why, sir?
Because they are trying to create a problem where there is none, and eventually they come out to solve it and cheating the public that they are doing the right thing.
Why would you say that?
Two, the experts which we believe was given to the government by ODM, make ODM and the government of Ruto swindle the people every day. And if Kenyans are not very careful, they will not blame anybody. Like today, we are not blaming Uhuru, who owned us, and we are really suffering. The poor man in the grassroots, in the countries, are really suffering because of Ruto being on the rooftop of vehicles every day, blaming the opposition, abusing them. And there is no result he's giving us, apart from bribing people in State House. Thank you.
Asante sana pia the colleagues from Kisumu just expressing himself on the situation as well and just saying mimi sikubali expert hakuna kitu anafanya.
Dennis really speaks to the feeling of the common citizen. Mm-hmm. And you realize that all this really goes back to the responsibility we have to elect or select, or is it select and then elect our leaders? Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that this conversation is taking place now so that 16 months down the line, we are able to really underscore how we vote.
Yeah.
The challenge normally is, yes, that you vote, but how do you protect that vote? And I hope that one day we can be able to provide a segment to just talk about that, because if you hear people saying, I regret, that I voted for this government, I feel sorry being a Kenyan. Yeah. Really, it needs to bother the government.
Yeah. Let me hold you on that. We will come to you, Ketania.
Okay.
Good morning. How are you? Where are you calling us from? What's your position on, what's your say pretty much on the fuel prices in the country?
Yes, good morning, Dennis.
Good morning to you.
Morning. Yes, my name is Samuel.
Yes, Samuel.
Calling from Nakuru.
Yes, please proceed.
Okay, now it is so sad that we are going through this, yet we need to reach a level of self-sufficiency in the country. Because Dennis, there's a time when we were told there was a fuel that we have in Ngamia 1 and Ngamia 2.
Yes.
And if you look at the way we are exploiting our fuel at Ngamia 1 and 2, it is so sad. From my point of view, I think what we need to do, we should stop this issue of over-reliance of petroleum products from the other side. we exploit ours. So what we're supposed to do, at a point where we have scarcity, like we are having right now, we are supposed to be using ours. Then, when the levels or the prices go high, then we go back to ours, supply ours at a lower price. Then once the prices go down, we stop using ours. Then we import and use that from the other side. Dennis.
Asante sana, nashukuru. Let's listen to other Kenyans as well. Good morning. How are you? Where are you calling us from? And what's your say with regard to the ongoing fuel prices?
My name is Washira. I'm calling you from Mbakasi.
Yes, Washira.
It's quite troubling because fuel has ripple effects. So you're going to find the inflation is going to go up. Myself, I'm a farmer. Let me talk as a farmer. I use petrol to pump water from my wells into the farm. And because of this, I'm going to reduce my consumption and the crop acreage. So what that means, that the volume expected is going to drop. So this is how I'm going to have a ripple effect, including my revenue, my sales, and all that. Number two, because of the ripple effects, then the prices are going to go up almost from transportation for all the products because of the transportation cost. Because logistics forms the biggest share in terms of like the pricing in Kenya. So that's what means then the consumption is going to. So if our government experts or economists, they know there's what you call laggers curve. When you increase prices to a certain point, then the consumption goes down. Then the intended point of getting the revenue in terms of like from KRA is going to drop. So sometimes when I sit down, I don't understand how our experts make some of these decisions, because this is also going to have like a social impact, because the poverty levels is going to increase and go up. So I'm sitting down really thinking hard, despite the fact that we have excuses like the Iran-US war. There seems to be a bigger problem in terms of our policymakers, in terms of some of this decision making. So it's quite troubling. It's painful.
Yes.
We are going to bear it, but Mungu yuko mbele.
Asante sana, Samuel, and yes, Mungu yuko mbele. Good morning. How are you, and where are you calling us from, and what's your position on the ongoing fuel prices? What's your say?
Hello, morning, Asato and your colleagues.
Morning.
My name is Asango Josephat. Bwana Asato, you know, when you don't plan, you are planning to fail. And where there is no vision, the people perish. That is the situation we are in Kenya. Some few hours ago, you had a very good expert there, and I listened to him. Such a gentleman who speaks the truth and who has knowledge on what is supposed to be done will never get time, will never get a chance to serve in a government. You see, in most cases, what is happening in Kenya, it is poor leadership. And our leaders, I don't know whether they just come during a campaign period, wanatuambia tu maneno mazuri. They have known Kenyans that if we go with the 100 shillings and give these people, they will just vote for us. And once they have voted for us, then we can do our own thing. My worry is, when President Ruto campaigned in 2022, I listened to him very well. He had very brilliant ideas. I wonder whether the president goes back to the clips and listens to whatever he was saying, or he was lying. That one I don't know. But then, I also listened to the cabinet secretary, Mr. Wandai. Surely, our leaders, I usually ask myself a very simple question. Even these degrees they get, are really these leaders up to the task? Is it really, do they go there to serve the interest of the Kenyans, or they go there to serve their family and their cronies? Now, we have this crisis in Kenya. Like enough, there was an interview in Citizen yesterday. Jamaa wa matatu amekubali wameongeza fare. Akaulizwa a very simple straight question. Now that the president has ordered the fuel ikuje chini kidogo, are you going to reduce the fare immediately? He was unable to say, no, you know, we have done this, we asked the government to do more. That is where Kenya is. Two, you have written very well, breaking news. Oil drops, surely. It was 180 something. Now it is 190 something. Is that a drop or an increase? You could even say there is a slight increase, not a drop. Anyway, Mr. Seto, this is our Kenya, and we love our country, and we don't have any other country. My plea to our leaders and my common wananchi kama mimi, please, wherever you are, think of doing the right thing. Think of doing the right thing. Yani unafikiria tu, I'm a Seto, I'm in my KTN station, let me do the right thing. If that notion ingeingia kwa watu wote sisi wote tukae pamoja tuseme let us do the right thing. Otherwise Kenya will be a very good country to live in. But unfortunately, evil is ruling our minds. That is why, Oseto, you talk about corruption, you talk about how do we do the right things, but then as we are now discussing, there's somebody watching and is trying to do wrong things. Is trying to find out nitaweka hii pesa namna gani iende kusaidia watu wangu. And the pesa, money comes, money goes. Power comes, power goes. Let these people remember what has happened to people who thought that they would be in power forever and they will have money and accumulate wealth forever. Look at Mobutu Sese Seko. We learn out of this. I like the sentiments that Paul Kagame said. You are my brother. If you do wrong, I will jail you. I have the instrument of power. If Ruto cracks the whip and says, Siniliambia wananchi tawafanyia kazi, yes, let me now do the right thing to wananchi. Leaving alone this cronies. Awambie, you are the minister, you joke, you go out. You do this, you go out. Kenya itanyoroshwa vizuri hivi. So Ruto achukue rungu kabisa, lakini inategemea na goodwill pia. Otherwise, thank you so much for that contribution.
Asante sana Josephat for your sentiments. Good morning. How are you? Where are you calling us from? And what's your say on the ongoing fuel prices?
Hello. Good morning, Dennis.
Good morning to you.
Victor from Eldoret.
Yes.
First of all, I think our CS for petroleum, CS Wandai, does not know actually what is happening in his own ministry. It looks like the president has a parallel spaceless minister in the Ministry of Petroleum, and Wandai knows nothing, absolutely nothing on that part. Number two, I would like the president to tell us actually what is the role of G to G arrangement in this country. Because if we say that our fuel prices is actually more than our neighbors, which their fuel pass through our country, and also we experience fuel shortages in the country. We saw that in our country. Contrary to what the government is saying, they were saying we have enough fuel. But on 11, 12, 13 days there, we had no fuel. We were queuing in our car stations. So what is the role of G to G? What are they doing? If they cannot supply enough fuel, if our prices are not stable, we are being charged more than our neighbors even for that case. So what is the role of this G to G? Is it cash cow, or what is the role of this thing actually? Thank you, Dennis.
Asante sana, Vincent from Eldoret there. Kitani.
Yes.
Kila president auze tu inchi ape kila mtu upande yake.
It's really interesting and sad at the same time, hearing from the Kenyans who've called. And Vincent, the last caller, talks about the CS for energy, and then questioning whether he really understands and knows what is happening in his ministry, because it's a genuine question to ask. Because if a CS comes out and says he was not aware, even in regards to the issue of the importation of the substandard fuel, then do you really understand and know what is happening within your ministry? But again, you see, one viewer talked about the purchasing power.
Yep.
And sorry, let me just try and paint a picture. Because at the end of the day, if the price of fuel goes up, for example,
it is already up.
Exactly. For a border person, he cannot pass the entire cost to the passenger.
To the passenger.
It means he has to, take in some hit or some part of the cost. Then that means his take home goes down. If he was taking home 1,000 bob, it goes to probably 800 shillings. And that means a slash in the purchasing power, I think around 25%. And that affects him, because he has to plan his life. If he has a family, he has to plan. This goes to food, this goes to school fees, for example. So he's really affected. He cannot pass the entire, cost to the passenger. Now, again, we talk about the leaders that we have. But again, the buck stops with us. At the end of the day, we complain about these leaders, but we end up electing the same leaders that we complain about. So the buck really stops with us. And Mr. Sido talked about this being the perfect time to have this conversation. And it is indeed true. We need to have a proper conversation about the leaders that we get into office. We are 16 months away to the general elections. We are complaining now. But come June or May next year, we'll be busy shouting and singing for the same leaders that we are complaining about right now. And one caller, attributed to Kenyans being given 100 bob, and all of a sudden they forget about every problem they faced when the same leaders who are campaigning were in offices, were in places where they can be able to make the changes. One final thing, and I come from a region where farming is predominant.
Baringo, sema tu Baringo.
Even in the entire vast Rift Valley region here in the country.
Yeah.
And the guy talked about he has now to reduce in terms of consumption, and the cost of production is going to go higher.
Yeah.
So then how are we empowering even the small scale farmers if the cost of production is going high?
True.
Because at the end of the day, the prices of fuel, it's a driver of almost all the sectors here in the country. So to conclude, I'd say all said and done, the government needs to find a solution. We need to look at the issue of taxes. Because like one caller alluded to, and it is a fact, we are paying more than Uganda and Tanzania, between 16 and 19 shillings more per litre. Yet they get the fuel.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.